Today, gentlemen, brace yourselves. We may have achieved peak Zynga. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint, where we have determined that since it is December 5th, yes, you can put up your Christmas decorations now.
I promise I won't stab anyone else. But for that guy I stabbed on November 30th, you had it coming.
Final Fantasy XIII-2 will feature DLC of Ezio Auditore's costume from Assassin's Creed for the Final Fantasy character Noel Kreis. So, with Ezio showing up in Final Fantasy and Soul Calibur, and those appearances of Altair in MGS4, Prince of Persia, and Raving Rabbids, can you guys stop trying to have solo careers and get back to work on Assassin's Creed 3 so we can find out what the hell's going on? And think of poor Desmond. No one ever wants him in their game. We don't even want him in an Assassin's Creed game without you guys.
A clever Bethesda fan has compiled all the text from every book in Skyrim into an ebook that is readable on Kindle and iOS. This is perfect because, as we all know, there are times and places throughout the course of your day where, through no fault of your own, you can't play Skyrim. But now you cannot read all 3,000 pages of background lore that someone probably spent years writing, wherever you are.
Ubisoft recently sent around a survey to players of Call of Juarez the Cartel, asking a series of questions about the game and some not-so-subtle probes about what they might like to see in a future Juarez title. Seemingly cribbed from someone's recent playthrough of Red Dead Redemption, the questionnaire features such weirdly specific examples as a gun duel in the main street of an empty town against your worst enemy, defending a train attacked by Native Americans on horses, and a gunfight in a saloon after a poker game. This all means that Juarez is clearly headed back to the Old West, and that Ubisoft is going to be handing out a whole lot of co-producer credits, since apparently we're designing the game.
It was announced this past week that, much as everyone expected, tropical zombie gorefest Dead Island has been banned in Germany, owing to the country's strict violence laws. But don't worry, Germans, Quake has finally had its German ban lifted. Yes, Quake 1. So, downside, the game is 15 years old. Upside, Trent Reznor made all the sound effects. You can't say that about Dead Island, can you?
Capcom is producing a forthcoming action-adventure game based on the Sour Patch Kids gummy candy. Yes, as the same brains behind older games centered around the Domino's Noid and the California Raisins, Capcom's newest game of foodsmanship, World Gone Sour, follows the adventure of an errant sour kid as he travels across the sticky movie theater floor into the outside world and eventually your stomach. So that's gross. And, just to make it extra weird, the soundtrack features a song called World Gone Sour by Method Man, who is undoubtedly crying right now.
There's been a startling amount of news coming out about Zynga this week due to the social gaming giant's impending initial public offering. While these bits of news have ignited a delicious media feeding frenzy, they also reveal that there may be blood in the water, with some analysts saying that Zynga's lifespan may be about as long as this tortured metaphor. For more, we go to our resident social gaming Remora, Paul Saunders.
Thank you, Kathleen. So, Zynga has started shopping itself around to investors and is hoping for a $10 billion market valuation, which would make the company worth more than EA. Putting aside the ridiculousness of that figure, it's time to break down why it's possibly the worst idea in the history of investment for anyone to buy Zynga shares when they hit the market. First of all, while Zynga may be milking its loyal Facebook user base for hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue every year, it's important to note that their empire of Villes has hit its peak. Sure, almost 50 million people log into Facebook to play their games every day, but as Zynga adds new games, the old games are losing players. This is because there's a finite number of people in the world that actually want to play Zynga games. And what's key is the number of people who will admit to playing those games is a lot smaller.
So you're saying that Zynga needs to expand out from Facebook. What about mobile gaming?
Well, they've been trying. Earlier this year, Angry Birds developer Rovio turned down a $2.25 billion acquisition offer from Zynga. We don't know if this is because Rovio didn't want to start forcing players to farm Mighty Eagles, or just because they couldn't climb over their pile of merchandising money to sign a contract. But it still stands that Rovio, possibly the luckiest one-trick pony developer in the world, still said, no thanks, we don't want $2 billion if we have to work for you.
That sounds bad.
And it gets worse. Zynga tried to buy PopCap for $1 billion, but PopCap turned them down, only to accept an offer from EA for $750 million. Things are bad when you're willing to take less money to work for EA.
So is Zynga screwed?
Well, they still have 250 million people a month playing their games, so they're not going to be missing any meals. But if they can't pay people ludicrous amounts of money to join their company, it seems a little weird to think that millions of people will pay them for the privilege of being a shareholder.
Thank you, Paul. So, in conclusion, if you're looking for a terrible place to invest your money, may I suggest my not at all fake shell company, Cat Snuggle Inc., makers of the hit imaginary social game, The Fantastic Adventures of Professor Pigglesworth on the island of Give Me Your Money.
Super.
Coming up, People Can Fly may be working on a Gears of War prequel trilogy. Sounds like a Gears game we might actually want to play.